Live from the location of the Boston Tea Party here in downtown Boston, Massachusetts. I'm going to go share with you where some of the historical markers are for that. So marker right here, City of Boston, the 200th anniversary of the Boston Tea Party. Here's the Boston Tea Party house. So this is the harbor right here where the Boston Tea Party took place. You can see the Boston Tea Party ship and museum. It's right downtown Boston. Most of my videos I like to share are south of the Mason-Dixon line. I travel all over Dixie, but once in a while I will travel north of the Mason-Dixon line, particularly to go see historical sites dealing with the American Revolution. I find it fascinating because there are so many closely related connections between the American Revolution and the War for Southern Independence. The first American Revolution and the second American Revolution. A lot of similarities. I'm gonna go walk back to my hotel, but along the way there's a couple historical markers here I thought I'd share with you. I like to be able to document and share these places, which are not forgotten. So many connections between what the colonists did here and the Americans did in the South. This right here is a historical sign about building boom. This right here is about entrepreneurial spirit. This marker right here is about the Great Fire. Took place back in 1872. Devastated this area. This marker right here is about the sugar for rope. And the next marker up here is about the Tea Party. This is part of the Harbor Walk here in Boston. It's a famous scene because, after all, there are so many connections, I believe, between the American Revolution colonists and the fought for independence, and also Southern Americans who fought for independence. That's why many call it the First and Second War for independence. The South was furious about being taxed as well and sending their money up to a distant government. You can read about this right here, the Boston Tea Party. The Boston Tea Party was an act of resistance by colonists against the British government after passage of the Tea Act in 1773. Colonists believed it violated their rights to be taxed only by their own representatives. The boycott would embattle Royal Governor Thomas Hutchinson, who, refusing to return rejected tea to Britain, would be harassed, his homes ransacked, and burned by local organizers. Parliament responded in 1774 by closing Boston's port until the destroyed tea had been compensated for. Colonists continued to protest and convened the First Continental Congress, which petitioned King George for repeal of the act. But the crisis escalated, and by 1775, the American Revolution would begin at Lexington, Massachusetts. And of course, that's referring to the shot heard around the world here in Lexington, Massachusetts, which isn't too far from here. And of course, they don't even know who fired the first shot. And so similar to Fort Sumter, it doesn't matter. Who fired the first shot is really kind of a red herring, because it doesn't matter. We don't know who fired the first shot. The shot heard around the world. I'm now going to walk over to this location. This is, I think, the primary historical marker for the Boston Tea Party. But it's right here. Right here is where those colonists threw those roughly 300 cases of tea into this harbor, being very brave. About 90 locals here got on there on the ship and threw those cases of tea in there, protesting all those taxes, insisting that shouldn't be taxed. Taxation should come from those who are local and those who are representing them, not from a king that was thousands of miles away. So let's leave this here, the Boston Tea Party, this particular marker right here. Now I'm going to go walk over to where the other Boston Tea Party marker is. I started this video from right over there. I'm just walking along this waterfront walkway. There's another marker right here. This is about the Intercontinental Boston Hotel. I'm gonna go walk over to the other one. Here in Boston, Massachusetts. This one right here speaks about the 4-point channel. On Facebook, Dixie Forever, I shared a video from the statue of Paul Revere. Of course, he's very famous for having made that ride to warn the residents of impending attack by the British troops when he rode through here in April of 1775. The statue is really close to the North Side Church. It's the oldest church in Boston. It was built back in 1720s. And it was particularly famous because that was where the rector, the pastor of that particular Episcopal church, hung up 2 lanterns up on the tall steeple, and it warned Paul Revere and it warned the residents of the British military troops and their movement. So that's just about 3/4 of a mile to a mile walking distance from here. Also, I shared a video from Columbus Park, Christopher Columbus Park, where unfortunately the Mayo West ended up removing the statue of Christopher Columbus. So Christopher Columbus doesn't even have a statue in his own park, an own park named after him. So here I am at I would say the primary historical marker for the Boston Tea Party. You have to know where it's at. As you can see, it's right downtown here, kind of on the sidewalk pathway. But you can read right here how it says that it talks about the Boston Tea Party. Here formerly stood Griffin's Wharf, at which lay moored on December 16th, 1773. 3 British ships were here. It says 3 British ships with cargoes of tea to defeat, with cargoes of tea. Let me read this to start over from the beginning. Here formerly stood Griffin's Wharf, at which lay moored on December 16, 1773, 3 British ships with cargoes of tea to defeat King George's trivial but tyrannical tax of 3 pence a pound. About 90 citizens of Boston, partly disguised as Indians, boarded the ships, threw the cargoes, 342 chests in all, into the sea, and made the world ring with the patriotic exploit of the Boston Tea Party. A little depiction right there. And you can read this as well. So, of course, that took place right over here, the Boston Tea Party. All right, I'm gonna start walking back. Just wanted to share this with you today from the site of the Boston Tea Party, right along the wharf. I'm gonna be walking past Paul Revere's house. I saw Paul Revere's house just about a little over an hour ago, and the Paul Revere statue and the Christopher Columbus location. It's just down just a pedestal. But glad to share this with you right along the harbor here in downtown Boston, Massachusetts. Take care, y'all.